Since the Battlefield 6 reveal, a lot of people are saying that this is the death of Call of Duty. This is going to be the worst thing that ever happened to Call of Duty. And other people are on the other side of it. Is this what Call of Duty needs? Do they need a little bit of competition? Do they need a wake-up call, if you will? And that is the question that the exclusive Ace is asking in this video today, with the title, Will Battlefield 6 Give Call of Duty a Wake-Up Call? Which, by the way, this is in an interesting state because Call of Duty has basically been proven to be the top dog over the past few years. With XDefiant coming out, with Splitgate, with all of these Call of Duty, this is the Call of Duty killer. How many YouTube videos have you seen with that name? I don't think I've made any, but I might have made some. But this is the Call of Duty killer. And then it comes out, the game flops, and Call of Duty is just remains steadfast. But is this the Call of Duty killer? Let's see what Ace is saying about this one. Oh, I have no volume.
What's up, guys? My name is Ace, and should Call of Duty be concerned about Battlefield 6? I think so. However, I do want to start this off being crystal clear up front. I'm in no way saying Battlefield 6 is going to kill COD. It's not.
The only thing that can kill Call of Duty is Call of Duty. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Another game isn't going to come along and take it down. It's too big. But if Call of Duty keeps trending in the same direction where they don't listen to anyone ever, then that's when Call of Duty can die.
The COD killer. There have been dozens of so-called COD killers over the years and even decades at this point. And yet, Call of Duty is still here and it's still consistently among the top played games month after month after month, at least on consoles. So no, I don't think Battlefield 6 is going to absolutely destroy COD this year and COD's going to be dead because Battlefield 6 is taking over. However, in saying this, I do think COD should really be taking note of the general sentiment right now in the community toward their franchise versus Battlefield. And I really think the timing on Battlefield 6 couldn't be better right now. I feel like...
Yeah, the fact that this got revealed right after Call of Duty puts a bunch of cartoons into their game, like they must have seen that happen and been like, oh my God, guys, this couldn't have worked out any better.
The community sentiment for COD is at an all-time low, and this is the perfect time to strike for Battlefield. And the funny thing is I don't think this is entirely due to the fact that Battlefield 6...
Okay, conspiracy theory here. Okay. Do you remember when GTA 6 got delayed and then Battlefield put out a statement right when it was when we didn't know when GTA 6 was coming out, and they said we're willing to shift when our game comes out based off of what is going on. If GTA 6 is coming out this fall, maybe we'll release in March, like that kind of thing. And then GTA 6 gets delayed, and then all of a sudden everything gets revealed, but it gets revealed right as Call of Duty is at its lowest. I bet you that is not a coincidence. I bet you they saw what was going on and were like, we need to strike while the iron's hot. They put everything together and then boom. I could be wrong, but it certainly looks that way.
Is looking like it's going to be really solid, which, to be clear, it is looking like it's going to be a really solid entry into the franchise. I think this situation is more so set up by how Call of Duty has been handling things, and I think they've been getting far too comfortable on top. And that has made them complacent, and it's allowed them to get away with a lot of things that they wouldn't have been able to get away with if they had really solid, viable, long-term competition, which they just haven't had for years now. And getting into some more details with that, over the past several years especially, I feel...
So I think I'm going to put together a video on the Call of Duty killers and why Call of Duty is in the position that it is now. I don't exactly know how I'm going to title it or what I'm going to call it, but I think we need to go through the history to see how Call of Duty got to the top where it is today and how they're able to make so many horrible decisions.
COD has been consistently upsetting many of its most dedicated and loyal fans. And doing this full time, I basically live in this community, so I'm always keeping a finger on the pulse of the community. And from what I've been seeing, at least in the dedicated community that's online talking about the game, so many people are at the point where they're just hanging on by a thread when it comes to Call of Duty, and they're essentially just buying it yearly out of habit and a lack of something else to play that's a viable competitor to Call of Duty. And
so I have two friends. So outside, he's right. What he's saying there is right. But I have two friends that play Call of Duty casually, like extremely casually. Like they get home from work at night, they have an hour of free time before they put their kids to bed, or while their kids are playing video games or on their phones or whatever, and they hop on Call of Duty for like an hour as like a popcorn game. Like just you get on, you play it, and even them, they're like, I cannot play this stupid COD Tunes event. It's painful for my eyes. It's not what I want to be playing. and those are casual players. So I like, this is the thing for me, is the decisions that they're making aren't good for anyone. So I like, maybe for their pockets, but not for anyone else.
Call of Duty's really been taking advantage of that. And let's have a look at just a handful of the big things that I feel Call of Duty's been doing over the past several years that they've been able to comfortably get away with because of a lack of competition. The first big thing is forced disbanding lobbies, which destroyed the feeling of any sort of in-game community that Call of Duty used to have. And that used to be a big part of Call of Duty way back in the day.
Which, by the way, is just a byproduct of skill-based matchmaking.
The in-game community was a huge part of the experience, and it was always thriving with Call of Duty. And I considered that to be a big draw to the franchise, and they just threw that away with the launch of Modern Warfare 2019. Additionally, and kind of tying in with that, they've also tightened up their matchmaking parameters to the point where it feels like you get punished for performing well in Call of Duty just in public matches. Additionally, with how they're handling that matchmaking, it seems like ping is not a priority at all, and they seem to be perfectly willing to sacrifice your ping to get you a better skill match, which has obviously made a lot of players, like myself, quite upset. This matchmaking system has also created a massive discrepancy in the experience with the game depending on your skill level, and for many, this has destroyed the game as a viable social outlet where they can play with their friends if their friends are at a notably different skill level than them.
Because that is very, very true. That's very true. So when I do open lobbies with just like the community on stream, I feel like I perform incredibly. Like, just because generally speaking, the general community is worse than I am. And I go on and play with them, and I'm like, okay, these lobbies are easy. If I go and play with like Jordan or Zach or Lazy, and we play together, the lobbies that we get are just, I can't play with them. It's not enjoyable to play with them. If I play with people above or my skill level, it's just not a fun time.
The discrepancy between playing in a party where you have mixed MMRs working together versus your own MMR when you matchmake solo, it became such a different experience that it broke up many friend groups that otherwise would have played COD or moved them to other games entirely. Additionally, something that's gotten especially bad this year with Black Ops 6, it feels like they've really turned Call of Duty into a shop first, game second mindset.
I think that's probably the biggest thing.
The game itself is just a vehicle to sell skins rather than creating an excellent game first and then offering skins on top of the excellent game, but the game itself is the priority. These days, it seems like selling skins is the priority, and the skins themselves have been getting more and more ridiculous over time, to the point where Call of Duty doesn't even have an identity anymore, or even the bare minimum of having a cohesive art style within the same game. That's something that tends to get a mixed response, but I know that has turned a ton of people away from the game, and it's definitely contributed heavily toward pushing me away from the franchise. On top of that, their anti-cheat efforts haven't been meeting general expectations.
Okay, so I don't know if he'll talk about this, but one of the things that has come out is the anti-cheat for Battlefield 6. So they're launching with an anti-cheat that apparently they have used in 2042. They started testing it during that time. I can't remember the name of it. If you know the name of it, put it down in the comments. I can't think of it for some reason. I could probably find it. But they're launching with this anti-cheat. Now, I've actually seen a pretty good sentiment to this because people are saying, okay, it's good that it's launching with an anti-cheat, but we also know that most games anti-cheats don't actually work. I think Who's Immortal has a video on it. The Javelin anti-cheat, that's the name of it. So that's pretty much a stance that I've had. Also, to my knowledge, Battlefield has never launched a free-to-play game on the scale of a battle royale, and if they're doing that, they're going to get cheaters. It just, when you have free-to-play, it amplifies it
in the community, and at the same time, it's caused a lot of frustration with overly aggressive communication bans. Just recently, there was a big ban wave with permanent bans from the franchise if you were a first-time offender for boosting, or even just going AFK in a game.
Yeah, going AFK in Plunder to level up your battle pass, which, by the way, if you want everything you have to buy, is just bananas.
You could get yourself permanently banned from playing Call of Duty forever by doing that as a first-time offense, which, to be clear, I'm fine with a punishment for people doing that, but a permanent ban for a first-time offender is insane in my eyes, and that obviously turned a lot of those people that got banned for that from fans of the franchise to enemies of the franchise.
That's how you know your game sucks, okay? This is going to be aggressive, but I'm just going to say this. This is how you know you've made a shitty system for a battle pass, is when the best way to do it is to just go AFK. It's all that is a time or an XP dump, and it's stupid, right? make a system where you actively have to do something, complete challenges or do things to earn rewards, and you won't have players doing that. And then you're permanently banning them for your franchise because your system's horrible. That's not their fault. That's your fault.
Franchise at this point. And then to top all of that off, the shadow ban system has been pretty harsh for a lot of players over the years as well, where players that have done nothing wrong but are often really good players that get a lot of reports for being a really good player, they've been realistically unable to play the game for sometimes weeks at a time because they end up in a limited matchmaking state because they've been reported a bunch, even when they've done nothing wrong and they're completely innocent. Obviously, those people get pushed away as well. And then wrapping all of this together, even though I'm sure I could bring up a lot more smaller points, it seems Call of Duty has been failing to meet expectations for post-launch support.
Yes.
And again, this is something that has been especially true throughout the life cycle of Black Ops 6. It
Jinx.
just seems like we're not getting timely bug fixes. The post-launch content stream also hasn't really met expectations for a lot of people.
Yeah, this is 100%
And in
true.
general, it feels like they just haven't really been putting any effort into evolving and improving the game as time goes on. And if anything, I feel like, especially...
So have we had like a new game mode this year? Like the only one that I can like actually think of was Pentathlon for the Squid Games event, which I did like because there was an individual skill streak for that event. But since then, I can't think of one. Like we've just had like returning crap, and they haven't even had good return. Like if they brought back gunfight tournaments, I'd be like, okay, this is good. But they just bring back, oh, we brought back one in the chamber. Okay, so what year did Black Ops? So we've had these for 15 years, and you're saying you brought the okay.
Especially in the case of Black Ops 6, the game has gotten worse over time rather than better. So all of these things combined, plus additional elements on top of this, have really been shifting community sentiment strongly toward the negative when it comes to Call of Duty. And on one hand,
by the way, I don't care if you put out a new game mode that is horrible, just put it out. Like be like, okay, we have this idea. And they did last year with like the party games, Mosh Pit and things like that. And some of them I hated. Like there was one that was like, it gave you mini games every round and half of the mini games were just garbage. But every once in a while you'd get a good round. And I maybe played that for like an hour or two. But like, I don't know, I need to see new things, man.
and from my perspective, it's a bit unfortunate because I still love Call of Duty at its core. I love the core gameplay loop of Call of Duty, and I love a lot of what Call of Duty has to offer. But on the other hand, I've really disliked how they've been handling their franchise, especially in recent years. And I think they've absolutely become complacent and put themselves in this situation. And it has really primed a lot of people, myself included, as one of the most diehard fans of the franchise, to want to jump ship the moment a truly solid alternative comes around that treats its game and its community with some level of respect. And while it's still early and we haven't even played the beta yet for Battlefield 6, based on everything we've seen so far, including actual raw gameplay, Battlefield 6 looks like it may be that answer that many of us are looking for. Now, like I said, there have been tons of COD competitors and people have even called them COD killers over the years. And you might be wondering, why is this any different with Battlefield 6 this time around? And maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe Battlefield 6 will just be another one of those games. However, based on what we're seeing, EA seems to be going all in on Battlefield this time around. And unlike many of the other games that have come out competing with Call of Duty in recent years, Battlefield 6 looks like it's going to have a ton of content, a ton of depth.
The real answer to this is Battlefield has the money backing it. A company like Ubisoft or a company like Splitgate's, like what is it, 1047 Studios, does not have enough money or studios working on those games to put out content at a fast enough pace to compete with Call of Duty. EA and Battlefield do. They have, it might even be 5 studios working on this game. Call of Duty has, I think, 6 or 7 studios working on their game. They have Infinity Ward, Treyarch, Raven, Sledgehammer, Bob Does Toys or whatever those are, and like all of those support studios. So this is actually a game that can hang on that level. Now, this has happened before, and the reason why Battlefield has never taken a bite out of Call of Duty is because it's a different game. Like those big maps, those big modes, those big battles with tons of vehicles are not the same as a 6v6 Call of Duty game. But Battlefield 6 is launching with 4v4v4. It's launching with 8v8. And that is huge. And if they do those modes well, which from what I've seen, they've looked well, now, not only is it another first-person shooter, but it's now a direct competition with Call of Duty, which is going to have to make Call of Duty get their shit together.
A lot of different ways to play and approach the game that will appeal to a very wide audience, including a free-to-play battle royale coming down the road. And I would say most importantly, the backing and resources to properly support the game long-term at a level that will actually be capable of keeping up with, if not exceeding, the level that Call of Duty has been supporting their games lately.
Hundo P.
Now again, I don't think Battlefield 6 is going to kill COD.
No.
In fact, I even think it's likely that Black Ops 7 will outsell Battlefield 6, simply because even a weak entry
He's not wrong.
into the Call of Duty franchise tends to outsell a strong entry in the Battlefield franchise. In saying that, though,
I don't think a Battlefield game has ever outsold a Call of Duty game. This would be the first time ever, and I think it's got the best opportunity to. Will it? I don't know. We haven't seen any marketing from Call of Duty yet. I want to keep that clear. None. So I'm guessing the marketing team for Black Ops 7 are really spinning their wheels trying to figure out how to compete with this.
I do think we are seeing a notable shift when it comes to the core community of Call of Duty.
Yes.
And I do think and hope that this is going to be a wake-up call for Call of Duty, at least to some degree. I think there's a good chance they're about to find out just how many people have been barely hanging on by a thread. And I do hope it will serve as a...
And a really good way to see this is let's look at the player numbers for Call of Duty when Season 5 drops. Because Season 5 is dropping the first day of the early access beta for Battlefield 6. It's going to be interesting.
Wake-up call for them that will force them to start acting like they've got some real competition again. And at the end of the day, that's what I want to see. I don't feel there's been enough competition in the genre lately. We've basically just been stuck with the usual heavy hitters that have dominated their own niche of the FPS genre, but they've all kind of settled into their own niches, and there hasn't been enough direct competition in my eyes, at least not to the level that can realistically compete with the juggernauts. And based on what I've been seeing, I really think Battlefield 6 has the opportunity to come in and at least shake things up a bit. Now, of course, these are all just my thoughts and opinions on this topic, and this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. What are your thoughts on this whole situation? Let's actually check
out the comments. These comments shouldn't be too egregious or aggressive on this channel. COD is the only thing capable of killing COD. Yeah, so that's exactly what I've said. So so far they've been doing a damn fine job of it too. Whoever thought adding Beavis and Butthead to COD should be fired, in my opinion. Putting Vincent Pella in charge of Battlefield looks like it's paying off for EA. Definitely. 100% agree. I've stopped playing COD altogether. And I think that's probably going to be the biggest takeaway here, is there's two ways to look at it. Number one, this is going to be the downfall of Call of Duty, and that's just not the case. With Modern Warfare 4 coming out next year, they have a really good opportunity to retake a bunch of people back into the community. But at the same time, if they don't take this as a wake-up call, this is a negative thing. If they do take this as a wake-up call, this should... Battlefield 6 should actually be a good thing for Call of Duty fans. Maybe not Call of Duty, because they can't just be complacent like they were before. But for Call of Duty players, competition is a good thing. And I'm going to be playing both. I'll be giving you my opinions on both. And right now, from what I have seen, Battlefield 6 is looking better than Black Ops 6 or Black Ops 7. But we haven't seen any marketing for Black Ops 7 yet. So we will see. Time will tell. But I think Ace did a pretty good job of explaining why the competition is thoroughly needed for Call of Duty.